Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I am going to speak about non-Newtonian fluids. So what are these non-Newtonian fluids? So to make you explain in a very easier term, let me demonstrate you easily. I have a glass and this bottle contains water. So what I am going to do is I am going to pour this water into this bowl. So what happens is when the water is being poured into the glass, the water takes the shape of the bottle. So this type of fluids are called Newtonian fluids, where the fluids take the shape of the container where it is being kept. But on the other hand, I have some different kinds of fluids. Water is a kind of fluid, as you know. I have said this is a sauce, a very highly concentrated sauce. See, the water is on the bottle. The moment I did this, the water came. And I do this, the water goes back. So this holds into our understanding that the motion what is happening with this fluid is acceptable. What about this? If I open it and if I do it like this, you see, even though there is ample amount of substance inside, but it's not going. Because if you force, it is not going to go. But if you just release it a little, it is going to flow. Okay, just hold on. I'll show you. See, it is going to flow. See, there is a flow, and this is how it happens. So this type of fluids, okay, which is opposed to our understanding, whose motion is opposed to our understanding and has very high friction coefficient, they are called non-Newtonian fluids. So we'll try to describe in details from now. So that was all.
So coming back to the demonstration that I showed you, so what really happened? So in order to understand really what was happening back there, so we have to understand between what is a normal fluid and what is a normal fluid is a Newtonian fluid, and the other fluid that is called strange fluid or non-Newtonian fluid. So you have to understand the difference between a normal fluid and a non-Newtonian fluid. So you see, basically what happens is, Newton studied the behavior of fluids, and that is quite interesting. Very few of us know about this. And so what happened was, say for example, you see, take the instance of a water that I showed you. So water, it can turn into a solid at 0 degrees Celsius, and this same water can turn into a gas at 100 degrees Celsius. So water, for a particular temperature range, for instance from 0 to 100, it behaves like a normal liquid with constant viscosity. So Newton studied about all this. He studied about the behavior of fluids with constant viscosity, and what happens when we change the temperature and pressure of fluids. Now that means water is behaving like a normal liquid, okay, and that liquid is, you can say, Newtonian liquid or Newtonian fluid. So typically speaking, normal liquids are those which can take the shape of the container, and they maintain constant viscosity under some constant temperature. So that is why we call them as normal fluids or Newtonian fluids. On the other hand, the other thing that I showed you in the demonstration, there are some kind of fluids which do not obey the normal Newtonian rule, okay, and those fluids, they change their viscosity, and their behavior is quite strange, and those fluids are called non-Newtonian fluids. So what really actually happens, let me briefly explain you. For instance, you see, you take a certain type of fluid, and if you apply a particular stress on the fluid, then either of the two behaviors may be seen. One is, it might act like a solid, okay, resulting in a strain, or it can get much runnier more than expected. Now in case of non-Newtonian fluid, for example the sauce that I showed you, which was there in my hand, what happened was, if you try to turn the bottle upside down, the substance inside it doesn't flow, but if I give it a shake, then it becomes runnier. That means we can see that under the application of stress, okay, the liquid changes its viscosity. Is it not very strange that we have certain things in nature that does not follow the normal rules of our own understanding? For example, if I have water, and if I try to change, if I open the cap and if I just turn it upside down, it will flow. So because it is having constant viscosity. On the other hand, for example, that sauce that I showed you, if I turn it upside down, it doesn't flow, but if I just shake it by giving some force, then it becomes runnier. So that was the example of a non-Newtonian fluid, or a strange fluid, because you see it behaves very strangely. So that was a typical example showing you the difference between a new liquid which is a Newtonian liquid as opposed to a non-Newtonian fluid. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.